Welcome to Common Sense Rhode Island. This is a program where we try to make sense out of the policies that affect your life and come up with common sense solutions. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and I have with me today Mike Collins, who is the captain of the Gaspee Business Network, which is a brand new pro-business group.
Pro-business movement.
Right, pro-business movement.
Yep.
That we actually need very much in Rhode Island.
Yes, we do. Yep. After sitting at the State House for a little while during the toll debacle, I realized that there was absolutely no representation for business up there, and decided when it was all said and done that we'd put a group together. So I got together with some of my business guys and friends, and we formed the Gaspee Business Network.
Great.
And we've been on a roll since.
I know you have been. You know, one of the things that I think should be disturbing to all Rhode Islanders is we do have a series of chambers, but they've been actually pretty ineffective in advocating up at the State House. If you look at our business climate, we're bouncing along the bottom, so how's that working for you?
Well,
right?
you know, you take the Providence Chamber of Commerce, 1,069 members, all we heard was Providence Chamber approves roadworks, but they never even had the decency to call any of their members and ask them whether they're for it or against it. And you know, there's big salaries coming out of that. It's and I mean, some of the chambers, the smaller chambers, probably do a good job in the area, but the larger ones have lost their focus, and they're all bought and paid for. And it's like the old boys network. With this, we have no salaries coming out of here. No one gets paid. Every dollar goes to action and or advocacy, shall we say, and or education. And you know, our mission here is to make some changes at the State House and give the business people a voice back up there.
Well, and it is the policies at the State House that are affecting small businesses. I know that for me, during the toll debate, obviously a lot of small businesses were reaching out, not just truckers,
right,
but other small businesses who said this is going to hurt our competitiveness.
Absolutely.
Right, they're competing not just within the state, they're competing with other states and sometimes completely around the country. And they knew that this was going to affect the cost of their supplies, their raw materials, as well as their finished products that they were sending out.
Oh, thoroughly agree with you. I mean, and I think the example you're leaning towards was one of the people from the turf farms that testified that they were so competitive that they were down to a nickel or 10 cents, I believe, a yard, and that this toll thing could make them totally non-competitive when they could sell their business out of state. So, you know, there's a Rhode Island-based business trying to do business in the state of Rhode Island, and yet it's going to get quagmired by tolls for short-term gain.
You know, obviously, Job Lot was in this. They said it would hurt their competitiveness, their ability to give good prices to their customers, but also they try to buy a lot of things from internal or Rhode Island companies. And they said that this would affect that as well.
Well, sure. They're the largest, unbeknownst to all of us, I think we found out during the hearings, that they're the largest seller of pool chlorine, and pool supplies in the country. They're actually bigger than Walmart, and they do encourage to do businesses, Rhode Island businesses. I believe there's a company here in Pawtucket or East Providence that makes a lot of product to them that employs X amount of people.
They're their biggest customer, and it would really impact their ability to sell that product outside of Rhode Island.
You know, and it comes down to even more than this. It comes down to the financial devastation that this whole thing is going to cause, and this was the upsetting nature.
Well, it was that the businesses, the small businesses in particular, didn't have a voice that was advocating for them. You're right. The Providence Chamber was full steam ahead with the truck tolls, and yet so many of their members were saying no. They didn't have a voice there.
It was funny. I did another TV show, and it was. I ran into one of the owners for Benny's was there, and one of the Brombergs, and it was pretty interesting because Benny's is a 90-year-old company, a Rhode Island icon. Probably Providence Chamber is one of their oldest members, and no one ever had the decency to call up Benny's and ask them what their opinion was in regards to roadworks. You know, so with that being said, there's such a disconnect from the legislature to the core roots of this state, which is the Rhode Island business. We're more worried about getting business from out of state. Why don't we take care of our own and flourish our own business? And that's what this is about.
And so you're going to give a voice to all of those businesses who don't feel that they're being properly represented by perhaps the Providence Chamber.
I want the person that does nails to the guy that bangs nails.
Yeah,
Right across the spectrum. I want everyone to have a voice, a phone number they can call and say, here's the problems we have, and we can advocate on it. When I walk into the State House or one of the representatives from Gaspee, I want them to know we're there.
yeah.
And
And
they
a
will
good
pay
solid
attention.
advocate for them. Sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Unpaid advocate.
Unpaid.
I think that's nice for people to know as
Well,
well.
as we say, we're the uncorruptible voice. We can't be bought.
Well, it also lets them know that every dollar they give to you is going to be spent
Yes.
trying to further their opinions, their needs at the State House. There's just not enough of a voice for business in the State House. I can tell you from being there for 6 years that, because we begin meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a lot of business folks won't run for the legislature. So the number of people in the legislature who have some connection with businesses, whether they run them or work in them, is very small, actually.
Yes,
A
it
lot
is.
of lawyers, a lot of retirees from municipal and state service, but not a whole lot of business folks who understand what it takes to make a payroll and watch out for
Well,
the bottom line.
We call that having the lump in your throat. And it's funny, most business guys will understand what I'm talking about. It's just some of the points you said. They have no comprehension of where the payroll money's coming from next Friday, or how we do this, or how we achieve that. And speaking at different variations of places throughout the state, you start to realize what a social disconnect there is once you start getting 25, 30 miles outside of Providence. And it's almost like the not in my backyard area until you start bringing home some facts. And then when people start looking at you, when you tell them the state's $18 billion in debt and there's $400 million a year pension, 4.9 billion in pension liabilities, 400 million in interest payments, people have severe tendency to stop paying attention to you. So with those little things, every business, I think the disconnect was they used to rely on their chambers. Now the chambers become social gathering spots, but there's no advocacy for the chambers. No one at the chamber wants to ruffle anyone's feathers.
Well, I think it's the ruffling the feathers, but I also look at their track record. They've been advocates for 50 years.
Correct.
How's that working out for you?
It's not very,
Yeah.
correct, not very
Right?
well.
How's that working for you? If they've been up there, like you say, big salaries, people up at the State House supposedly all the time, advocating for small businesses, and yet we have one of the worst business climates in the country.
Absolutely.
How effective have they been?
Not effective at all. I mean, we're ranked 37th, I believe, in the country right now in regards to
Not
business
worse.
climate. And
It depends on what index
what
you're
scale,
looking
right,
at.
on what
We're
scale?
bouncing along the bottom.
what scale? But we are at the bottom from 2012, 2014. I believe we were the bottom. We were the metrics for the bottom. You could only go up from where we were, and that's a pretty sad. I hate to say sad state, but businesses in Rhode Island usually, Pat, were generational. And you built a business because the next thing your kids were going to take over the business. And now you're seeing the children of that next generation leaving because the parents are struggling running their business. The profits aren't here anymore, and there's not enough to substantiate the businesses.
It's become a very hostile business climate, or it has been for a period of time. I mean, I've heard the complaints. But listen, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back to
Thank
talk
you.
more about it.